What is good, y'all? Nathan, salute to you. I see you already on the comments. Hope you guys are doing well. Love, peace, and chicken grease as always. I'm here with my boy Big Sam MMA. We're here for another five-star plays, five-star picks. I'm pretty excited about this week, man. We have a lot of stuff. We have a Japanese card at Saturday at 3 a.m. Have a very small Pennsylvania boxing card with Avius Griffin and Ibarra Rodriguez. You have ZUFFA boxing, and then, of course, you have UFC 326. Big Sam, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing well, my man. Thanks for having me on. I had a great time last time, and yeah, looking forward to chopping it up.
Then I had a great time as well. We actually did very successful here in our five-star plays. PJ, hope you're doing well. Good to see you, brother. It's been a long time. So for our five-star plays, how it's going to work, y'all, is we're going to ramp up from our least confident to our most confident picks throughout the video. Starting off with our first star play, and it's going to be both picks for both MMA and boxing. So just so you guys know how this is going to go down, and we have Big Sam. He's going to start off with our first pick, and I'm excited to see which one is going to be because we have not rehearsed any of these picks. We don't know what our one-star to our five-star picks amongst each other are. So let's see how it goes. Big Sam, kick us off. What's your first one-star pick?
So one-star pick to get it started out. You know, last time on the video, I had picked Alex Perez to beat Asu Almabayev as my five-star pick, and man, that was one that looked great. But you know, he's a guy who is historically unreliable, and I mean, this one's kind of similar. But I think you know there's value on the line, and that's gonna be Cody Durden money line to beat, and I'm going to have a lot of trouble saying the guy's name, Niamjargel Tumendemberol, something along those lines. But
I think you actually nailed the last name. I don't know about the first name, but the last name, you killed it.
You know, it's one of those names where when you look at it, I think if you just sound it out, you know, syllable by syllable, it's not that bad compared to some of the others. I mean, there are some definitely difficult to pronounce names, but, you know, what really stands out to me is I think he's going to have a wrestling advantage in this fight. You know, Tumendemberol came off a tough fight against Carlos Hernandez. That's his only career loss to date. A lot of grappling exchanges back and forth in that fight. But I think really the difference is going to be that Durden's a more battle-tested guy. You know, he has a decision win over Charles Johnson. And, you know, he's gone against some really tough up-and-coming prospects. Jose Ochoa. Who else did he fight against? I'm blanking on the other opponent
Are we talking about Cody Durden specifically?
Cody Durden, yeah.
I mean, even his losses, his strength of schedule is absolutely insane when it comes to guys. Even his losses against guys like Joshua Van. You look at losses against, I mean, Bruno Silva still like an aging as a good loss. So,
I mean, see, that one, he looked great in that fight too. You know, he was really putting it on and just kind of got caught. And Tumendemberol, I don't know if he has those same capabilities. You know, you see some of his fights on Road to UFC where he's giving up takedowns. Granted, he scrambles well. You know, he pushes a hard pace if he wins a scramble and makes it back to the feet. But Durden, I think, is the more battle-tested guy. I think he's going to have the ability to put this fight where he wants it. And I'm seeing about plus 135 on Durden on most sports bookers, or in that range.
I really think it comes down to, I think Cody Durden's going to look good until he doesn't. The thing is he going to have where we saw with the Charles Johnson, where he had a decent amount of top control and continue to let Charles Johnson get up and continue to re-wrestle him a bit? Or are we going to have that moment where Cody Durden gets the initial takedown, the initial shot, he doesn't hold any top control, and then does gas out while trying to re-wrestle as the fight goes on? I think that's really going to be the story of the fight, is it feels like always the story of the fight for Cody Durden. But I think for your one-star play, I think it's actually a good plus value too as well. You can never go wrong with that. I'm typing it up right now. Cody Durden plus 135. And we have that here for Big Sam MMA's one-star play.
Yeah, the name I was thinking of is Alan Nascimento was the last fight that Cody Durden had. He lost by submission there, but even a guy like that who's I don't believe's in the top 15, that's a tough fight at flyweight. Somebody who beats, you know, a lot of your favorite fighters. So
Nascimento, a literal tower in terms of his actual stature, knows how to backpack the body. Great backpack system specifically. So
elite BJJ, and yeah, I think this is a step down for Cody Durden. Yeah, I think he gets the job done.
So For Big Sam MMA's 1-star play, we have Cody Durden plus 135. Oh, I spell it Durin. Oh, come on, mate. Come on, mate. What am I doing here? So for my 1-star play, I'm going to go into my bread and butter, my realm for boxing. Let me finish typing this, y'all. My apologies. I want to put some respect on Cody Durden's name. Cody Durden plus 135, Big Sam MMA. All right, so for my 1-star play, we're going to head on over to ZUFFA Boxing here for you because this play kind of checks all the boxes for me when it comes to a draw play. We have Ricardo Salas, 22, 2-2, Magic Man. Everybody loves this guy. All action, 1-gear fighter. Wants to get on the inside, wants to make it a pocket exchange and a pocket brawl. Really, again, he's 1 gear. That's the best way that you really can describe him here. Sweeping lead hands here. He's very hittable both ways to the body here too as well. Pro Gray, a boxing betting, tapping in. Shout out to Big and Breaking Bad. What up, Jay Brio? Hope you're doing well, my boy. my man from the swamp. His name absolutely kills me. So you have Ricardo Salas here. 1 forward, kind of comes through with his buzzsaw. His chin's exposed. He's not going to gas out. He's going to have enough cardio for 10 rounds, I really believe, even though he's going to have moments of slowing down. He has no feet, no angles, doesn't know how to cut off the ring to save his life, but he knows how to get inside the pocket and work from there. Then you have someone completely on the other side in Jesus Sriracha. Jesus Sriracha is very inconsistent with his work, but when he's consistent and knows how to fight in spurts, he can put together the combinations, but he's not necessarily a high volume fighter. He knows how to, what I would consider, rope the horse. He knows how to slow down the fight, and he knows how to ride the fight out round over round, making every single fight, it seems like, close of his that I was able to tape. So for me, this fight checks all the boxes of what you have for a draw. And what are some of those boxes? We have split draws and majority decision draws and split decisions amongst both the record. Both of these fighters have 2 draws. Both of these fighters have multiple split decisions, multiple majority decisions. And what does that tell you about both? Regardless of their fighting style, they fight extremely close. And I think this is a perfect style mesh to where you're going to have someone like Ricardo Salas who's going to be coming out there, putting out a lot of volume. And it's really going to favor, do you like the volume or do you like the more person that's going to be turning off the angles and having the better moments in spurts? Because I do think Sriracha in moments will have better spurts and better moments. But I just think the issue is the overall volume and work of Magic Man Ricardo Salas will do the work. I think Sriracha as a dog is a very live dog here, but I like the draw because I think this fight's going to be super close. And I think I can 100% see this being a 5-5 buzzsaw kind of fight. Super close, super hard to kind of score. The reason it's my 1-star play is kind of it's hard to be overly confident in a draw, right? So in this case here, give me the draw. Let me see it on Bet365 if they've dropped the lines for it yet, because I haven't seen a draw before I jumped on here. I assume by the fact that both these guys have been to a draw twice that the lines are going to be around plus 1,200, plus 1,400 at best. Maybe we'll get lucky since it's a little bit wider and Sriracha's kind of big dog.
Which card is it? Which card is this?
Plus 1,400. I'm going to lock that in right now. I'm locking a half unit on it right now. This is the ZUFFA card. This is the co-main event, actually. This is a 10-round co-main event. We had a bet on Louis Lopez not long ago. Ricardo Salas went to a draw with Ruben Aguilar, the dude that beat the hell out of Louis Lopez last week on Pro Box. I don't know if you remember that. Ricardo Salas has a cracker.
Pro Box card. I'd have to look at him though.
Yeah. So
I don't remember all the names sometimes, but it's like boxing. I feel like, at least in the US, it can be so hard to find where to watch sometimes. It's Pro Box on YouTube. You have, ZUFFA on Paramount and all these different platforms. It can be hard for me to keep up with.
Yesterday we were watching Eye of the Tiger, Canadian boxing, completely out of the realm. Yeah, boxing has smaller and niche markets for sure. So, yeah, I just think this fight has a lot of things that could be a draw where it's going to be a style clash of one fighter trying to speed up the fight, one fighter trying to slow down the fight. Within the mix here, I think you're going to meet in the middle. Both of these fighters naturally fight close. I think it's going to be a style of what the judges favor more. Is it going to be the more clean, crisper moments that is going to be Sriracha, or is it going to be the buzzsaw, all-action style of someone like Ricardo Salas? Of course, a knockdown mathematically defeats a draw in a 10-round fight. Shout out to my boy Leargold, my Canadian homie. But maybe they each get a knockdown in this case here, which is very possible with Ricardo Salas that we happened in the Ruben Aguilar fight. So I like the angle of the draw all the way across here. I can definitely see a Sriracha money line pick too as well. I like Sriracha. I don't think the value is on Salas at 2-1 odds. So yeah, give me a draw on Salas and Sriracha, and then we can move on to your 2-star play. But it is the co-main event for ZUFFA, bro, and I can't recommend enough for anybody. This is a fight you absolutely have to tune in. Magic Man Salas always brings it. And Sriracha, he's a good fighter in the moments that he does decide to put on the gas.
I wrote it down because it's one that I haven't looked into. And I mean, I'm always looking out for good fights to watch. You know, that's one of my things. Even if I don't find a play that I like on it, you know, I can always, you know, sit back and enjoy a good old-fashioned scrap. So, no, I'll definitely have it on. And we'll talk a little bit more about the main event on that card, which I'm really looking forward to. But for my 2-star play, going back over to UFC 326, going to the main event of the night, I have Charles Oliveira money line. Reason being is I think that a lot of things have changed since they last fought. You know, when you look at Charles Oliveira when he lost to Max Holloway way back when, I mean, this has got to be over a decade ago. I'm pulling it up right now. I mean, so he lost against Max Holloway back in 2015. You know, it was a weird thing where he had like a throat injury. Around that same time, Charles Oliveira was losing to guys like Anthony Pettis and Ricardo Lamas. And somewhere later, especially when he moved to lightweight, we really saw him turn a corner. I think last fight against Mateusz Gamrot, we really got to see, you know, the true level that Charles Oliveira is on. If he's getting taken down, I mean, this guy has to have the best guard in MMA, right? Wouldn't you say?
Easily, because his guard isn't your prototypical guard where he uses a system to where he uses everything from your legs. He uses everything from your top, his butterfly sweeps, his own utilization of the upper body and how to cradle and create, just compact any type of your posture and destroy it. It's absolutely incredible. Sorry, that was just some jiu-jitsu nerd shit from us.
No, I mean, second to none. And I mean, you saw in that fight when Gamrot was taking him down, he really couldn't engage with him. You know, if he goes in and is trying to pass the guard, he's immediately getting threatened with omoplatas, which you don't see a lot of guys do. But what really stood out to me in that fight, and I think it's so significant considering where I see Gamrot, maybe not as, you know, a world beater, but as a grappler in that division, I mean, there's only a couple guys who are better grapplers. And we saw Oliveira shoot a double leg, you know, switch it to kind of a low body lock, finish the takedown, take his back, and choke him. And I think that is significant in the lightweight division. And with Max Holloway, you know, coming off a win against Dustin Poirier in a retirement fight, hard to take a lot of stock into somebody who's retiring. You know, it says it beforehand. I don't know if we've ever seen somebody like that win.
Is this Max Holloway's retirement fight?
It's not his, but when he fought against Dustin Poirier, we knew ahead of time that it was.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I had a mind block there. High moment. My apologies.
All good. But, you know, something we really haven't seen Max Holloway go against is somebody who's trying to actively take him down. We haven't seen him face a wrestler, definitely at lightweight. I don't think at all that I can think of. You know, Justin Gaethje was a good win, but very different stylistic matchup. Oliveira's there to be hit on the feet, but I think the key for him is if he gets Max Holloway moving backwards, that's going to set up his takedown offense. And I think once he gets to his spots, even if you just expose your back a little bit, he has an elite ability at taking the back. Even if he just breaks you down to a hip, if you post your hands on the mat, not a lot of guys are able to do that. And so I think Oliveira at plus 170 or better, I think is a good bet.
You can get it. I just checked the best odds. You can get it on Caesars at plus 185. So I posted that at plus 185. I don't have Caesars. That's actually one of the only two books that I don't have, that and Hard Rock. So
yeah.
Robbie Lawler won his that was actually a good shout from Kiza. Robbie Lawler won his retirement fight, but Nico took a dive. That's actually
yeah.
That doesn't
I knew
count.
there was somebody, you know, that I was thinking of, but yeah, Robbie Lawler did win that fight. That was a weird one though. It ended in like, I want to say a minute or less. You know, he caught it with a hook or an uppercut in the clinch and he just went out.
Yeah, I think there's the issue. Realistically, the only issue I think it comes down to is what version of Charles do we get? You know, Do we get that? Do we get that Charles? But honestly, I mean, even then, I mean, it's not like the Charles from 10 years ago or 7 years ago where we used to quit and things of that nature. But it's the Charles that does he come out with an actual game plan? Does he try to keep the fight long? Does he try to control? Like we saw Charles, for example, against Michael Chandler with an incredible, the second Michael Chandler with an incredible game plan. He came through and he fought a full high IQ, strong pace fight all the way through. But then you see a same actual Charles Oliveira come through and say, trying to think of a fight, the Ilia Topuria fight. He's going to try to bang it out with someone that can actually bang, for example, or Arman Sarukian, where it seemed like he was actively engaging in the grappling with Arman Sarukian far more than he actually should have. So that's really what it comes down to. And if he comes down to getting his grappling off, where I think he just seems so much stronger, his wrestling seems so much sharper too as well.
That's the biggest difference, I think.
That his wrestling seems so much sharper. Like the way he was wrestling Michael Chandler in their second fight, dude, is.
I mean, when he locked his hands on that double leg against the fence, I mean, if I told you Max Holloway was going against
he loves that body lock. By the way, he loves that body lock sequence near the fence. You saw it against Dustin Poirier. I don't know if he literally does to where he kind of shoots for the legs, but he's not really looking for it. Gets the body lock sequence, takes the back against the fence with the far side hook using as a frame, and clearly got the choke from there, man. It's just like a sequence that he absolutely loves. Near that warning track, as Luke Thomas calls it, man, he knows how to get to the back too as well. So
100%. And I think the wrestling is the biggest change that he's made in his game over the years. If I told you that Max Holloway was going against the second best grappler in the lightweight division, but didn't tell you who it was, and I told you that grappler was plus 170, what would you think about that? I mean, this is a guy moving up from 145 pounds later in his career. And when you look at guys he's fought with, an A-game grappling game plan, Topuria, they didn't grapple at all. But last time he fought a grappler was, an old Frankie Edgar in 2019. Ortega, who doesn't have really any takedown ability.
Ortega's like an opportunist jiu-jitsu player. I mean, a bunch of third-round crazy, almost Hail Mary kind of submissions. And not that he's opportunist because he gets into so many of them, but he knows how to seek opportunists specifically. He's definitely a submission over position kind of fighter.
100%. I remember when he fought Clay Guida back in the day. And, for most of that fight, he made Clay Guida look like Sugar Ray Leonard. He couldn't get any of his takedowns to get the jiu-jitsu going. He was just getting outstruck. I'm pretty sure he landed like a knee or a flying knee in the fight to win it. Right?
Do you remember, was it the Moicano fight that he pulled out of his ass too in the last second of the third round, if I'm not mistaken?
Pretty sure.
I think Moicano, he pulled that out in the third round. I'm almost positive that Moicano was up 2-0 on him and he pulled that out. So
guillotine, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Moicano, if I remember that fight, he was boxing him up too. But yeah, I think Oliveira is just a different look for somebody like Holloway, a style that he hasn't seen in a while. And he's a big guy at lightweight. Even when you see them in the face.
He's on that Brazilian acai, brother.
Big guy. And I mean, Holloway, he got knocked out by Topuria. The durability's held up, but he takes a lot of shots. I mean, his fights are wars. So I don't know. I think that there's value on the plus 185 number on Caesar. So yeah, I think Oliveira's the side.
Kiza, stay around for my 2-star bet really quickly. I just want to get to these. I actually really like the Charles Oliveira shout. My boy PJ says, do you agree with his UFC picks? I love the Charles Oliveira shout. I don't agree with the Durden shout personally. Just keeping it transparent. I mean, that's not a big deal at all. I'm also too as well. If
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. Like we can let's talk it up.
Durden is just so hit or miss to me. Durden's a glass onion to me. Quite frankly, he's a glass cannon. He's exactly my issues is if he gets that pressure wrestling consistent base of style going where his cardio is high and elite and a high engine, he's like Kona Walker in a way when it comes to a boxing comparison. Yeah. But the issue is when he doesn't get his top pressure on, you see in his eyes him start to melt. And he does not handle body work at all. The way he handles body work is almost non-existent. He really doesn't like to be hit to the body. He gets shelled up here. And I just think he's fighting a fucking savage. I think he's fighting someone that he's explosive, and yes, he got wrestle fucked by old boy Carlos. Was it Carlos Hernandez? Is that his name?
That was the fight he lost. It was a split decision. I honestly thought he probably won that fight.
I thought off of damage basis, striking basis, I agree, but I also don't think Durden has the pace of 3 rounds like a Carlos Hernandez. I don't think he has it anymore. We saw it against Charles Johnson, him have the pace and the pressure like that specifically.
Yeah.
But I just don't think he has the same pace and pressure that he once did. That's why I think the Mongolian Mole is going to handle business. I think it's going to be a damage over control kind of scenario in this case here. I don't think it's a bad shout at dog money because I think Durden's one of those dogs you like to bet on. He will fight for your money, grit and nail, and he'll never quit in a fight. He doesn't quit. He's a tough motherfucker. He pushes a pace. Those are the people you like to bet on as underdogs, but I just don't see it. Charles Oliveira, I couldn't agree more. I actually couldn't agree more. I think the damage is finally mounted on someone like Max Holloway. You can only get in so many wars and take 1,000+ punches, 2,500+ punches to the head without getting dropped and knocked down. Charles Oliveira is a big puncher, especially since he found the tree of life over there in Brazil. Couldn't agree more with the grappling sense. He's top 3 grapplers in that division, quite frankly, here for you. You can intermix realistically him, Islam, or Arman on any given moment. And it's a different style of grappling, of course, because when it comes to a pure submission back take style of backpacking to where he knows how to utilize his guard instead of being just a brute force top strength blanket that just knows how to squeeze the life out of people like Islam, or a pure chain wrestling beast like Arman. But still, he also has his own chain wrestling sequences himself. So yeah. I couldn't agree more on the Charles Oliveira shout too as well. So just to give you your answer, PJ, I highly agree with the Charles one. And I just went through why I don't agree with the Cody Durden one. So
yeah, and I get that analysis on the Durden fight makes a lot of sense. My point of view, I think he's just catching him at the right time. A big step down, similar to another Cody on this card, actually. But I think it's a big step down in competition, and I think it's the sell high moment, or maybe the buy low moment on Durden.
Just full transparency for everybody. It won't be in any of my 1 through 5 star plays. I do have a unit play on Cody Garbrandt. And that's from my MMA chat in the Discord. If you want to join the Discord, we like just chopping it up, free Discord. The only thing I ever ask in the Discord is give the insights that you can, and don't be one of those guys that are going to just come in there to brag, always show love to the community, let the love feed you back, and it'll keep coming back and forth. So if you want to join the Discord, holler at me and I'd love to get you in there. We love to have great minds talking up fights in there. So Discord talked me into taking Cody Garbrandt. And I agree. Cody Garbrandt's better than Long Zhao just about everywhere. So
yeah. And that's actually not one of my 5-star plays either. But we can talk on it briefly because I was looking at tape for that fight. And I mean, it's a big, big step down for Cody Garbrandt. I mean, we're going from the Davison Figueiredos of the world, the Kai Kara France, at that time, guys like this to Long Zhao, who's
going to split decisions with Asian regional fighters from Asia. What are we talking about here?
I mean, I really don't rate a lot of the guys that come off the road to UFC show. I think that a lot of guys from that region, if they're good enough, such as the Tatsuro Tairas and Horiguchi had obviously paid his dues. A lot of guys in that region are getting signed to the UFC before they're going on the road to UFC. And so, I think it's a step down in competition. It's his fight to lose. I mean, if he loses this fight, we know he's done, right?
Yeah, I don't think realistically, I think the way he loses this fight is how he would lose every other fight. He gets comically chinned. He's not going to get wrestle fucked against someone that's not really a grappler like that. That's not really a buzzsaw wrestler like that. And I think he's going to be too slick. I liken this fight to a Sun Sal from the little bit of tape that I did. This fight really much I liken to a Sun Sal to where he can play safe on the outside of the skirt, catch him with some sick counters, and just use his athleticism to pop and move. Salute, Bruce. Hope you're doing well.
When you think about the business that's behind the UFC at this point, when you talk about the TKO group and, they're involved with like WWE and, all of that behind them. This is a company that's trying to be profitable and, they're trying to build that in-house. There's not the Conor McGregors and the Ronda Rouseys that are, going further than the sport itself. But when they make a fight like this, Cody Garbrandt, a guy who's gone against the toughest fighters, against Long Zhao, what do you think the UFC would want to happen? if they're making a fight for Cody to win, this is it.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally, it feels like they're giving him a layup, and we're getting him at plus 125, now plus 130, plus 135. So there's some slight money change, oddly enough, that's coming in on Long Jiao. So I don't know necessarily what they see. But
yeah, you think about how we see some of these fights matched now. I think about the young guy, I believe he's from Cameroon, Atiba Gautier. Man, the guys that they're lining him up against barely have a pulse. And they know what they're doing. They're trying to make viral.
It was Puliev. Puliev just gave him a pretty decent scrap, actually. Puliev gave him a little bit of a go.
That's not what they intended to happen.
No.
Minus 1,200 in MMA. I think we talked about this last time too. It's not something that you see just because there's so many different paths to victory in the sport. And I think they just matched him up with Ozzy Diaz. But my point being is, there's a business reason behind a lot of these fights that they put together. And I think Cody Garbrandt, they're giving him a layup here. But, yeah, it's not one of my 5-star plays, so we can move on. That was one that stood out. I know he's a fan favorite.
So this one's, for me, it's a 2-star play because I'm not brimming in confidence about this one, to be completely honest with you. I'm not running to the rafters for it, but I do like this play here specifically a lot. And then my next 3 plays are going to be a far more confident plays. I really like Rob Font at the 2-1 number. I think it comes down to a level and competition gap starting off. You have someone like Raul Rosas who had a close fight to where, quite frankly, AQ doesn't get taken down in that 3rd round. He probably wins that 3rd round, piecing him up in the spear. Granted, we have to say he had I'm sure there was a big adrenaline dump for Raul Rosas fighting in the spear, Mexican heritage, all of that nature. So there's probably a lot on him, on his shoulders. Vince Morales had a incredible, I forgot how incredible of just a late push that he had in that fight here for Vince Morales. We know Ricky Tercios did well in the early goings, and then he eventually gets choked out and gets drowned by Raul Rosas. But Raul Rosas doesn't have a great wrestling game plan to where someone like Gene Matsumoto was consistently able to take down Rob Font, and Corey Sandhagen was consistently able to take down Rob Font. But Corey Sandhagen was able to utilize all of his control. I think Raul Rosas may have a very strong first round, so it's hard for me to want to give out this live but because there is going to be moments where we can possibly play it live. But if we get the Rob Font that's going to keep Raul Rosas at the end of his jab, who Raul Rosas' striking just quite frankly hasn't been developed all the way. We have the same Rob Font that's going to be looking for uppercuts up the middle where Raul Rosas is shooting, and Raul Rosas loves to shoot. I don't know if you've noticed. He shoots from a mile away, and he shoots with his head directly in crotch level. And what is Rob Font great at? Rob Font's great at lining up uppercuts right up the middle on heads that are lined up. I really see Rob Font kind of having a veteran lesson to where the first round may be sticky, but I don't think he's wrestling someone that has the nuance of a Corey Sandhagen and someone that has the brute strength of a Gene Matsumoto in this case here for you. I don't think he's going to necessarily get hurt like he did against Davison Figueiredo, who these guys are all top-level contenders. And Raul Rosas is good, but he's going to run into a buzzsaw that's going to be able to strike with him. And if it's not Rob Font, it's going to be the next fight. I'm almost positive of it. He's going to run into a buzzsaw within his next 2 fights. I'm willing to take the buzzsaw right now at Rob Font at 2-1 because I don't want to miss the Raul Rosas fade. Yes, Raul Rosas, his cardio is getting a little bit better bit by bit. From what I understand, he's training out here in Arizona, but I don't know necessarily. I don't know, man. I just think Rob Font here is going to get it done, man. I think it's going to be a tricky first round here for you, but I think the minute that he can start on his feet and the minute round 2, he starts to notice where those shots are going to be coming from. He's going to be landing those jabs, landing those uppercuts. He rips a few shots to the body too as well. If we get that inside pocket boxing going, man, it's going to be a long night. I am sure that Rob Font will win round 3. I am sure that Raul Rosas, or highly confident Raul Rosas, wins round 1. It comes to that middle ground, round 2. And how are we feeling in round 2 here? And I wouldn't mind Raul Rosas putting a lot of gas into the grappling and Rob Font getting up ready to get that jab going. So for my 2-star play, give me Rob Font. You have it on Bet Rivers at plus 205. I put DK Bet Rivers, but it's just Bet Rivers. So
I want to say that number's climbing too. I want to say I saw plus. I didn't play it. And this is one I'll talk about as well because I'm not on the opposite side, but I don't know if I can play Rob Font in this spot, and I'll explain why. But, yeah, I think that number's climbing, and there's certainly a number where, I mean, you have to pull the trigger on Rob Font. because he is the more proven guy.
And I think 2-1 on that veteran number is that number you have to pull the trigger on. I mean, plus 205 on the veteran it's a good number in my opinion, man.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one I expected to be on the Rob Font side, because we had heard rumors about this fight. I want to say going well back into last year. This is one I want to say looked at making for a while now. But what I can't get over is I think, like you said, Raul Rosas, he does shoot from a mile away when he's trying to get his takedowns. But we're talking about a very, very young fighter here. And I want to say it's been over a year since he last fought. And, I can't help but wonder, there's so many guys, Melquizael Costa is another guy where
I didn't even realize that this kid's 21 years old.
Rosas?
Yeah,
dude, he fought Contender Series at 17.
That's like insane.
Absurd.
That actually that's just blew me away completely, to be honest with you. A lapse in my research. I absolutely should have known his age, but damn.
Yeah, no, he fought Contender Series at 17 years old. And, I bring up Melquizael Costa from, last week or the week before, because he's a guy I was always low on. But somewhere along the way, these young fighters, they get a few UFC fights under the belt, and then we see them turn a corner. And, Raul Rosas, maybe it's the future fade spot. He showed a very one-dimensional game so far in the UFC, but this is a young guy. At some point he's going to gain his grown man strength. That happens, typically probably into your, mid to late 20s. 21 is still so young for the UFC, but, we've seen him take on some tough fights. I think this is pretty similar to the Arichi Lang fight in a lot of ways. And, I think he wins the first 7.5 minutes at a pretty high clip. And, I could see it being one of those fights where Font's taken over in round 3. Maybe it's looking like he's going to get a finish and it runs out of time, and we get a 29-28 Raul Rosas decision. But that's how I see it going. And, I think it's entirely possible that Rosas shows new wrinkles to his game that we haven't seen. What would you think, if he came out and started striking and looked great? It's at 21 years old, I think it's entirely.
I would think Rob Font is fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think, that'd be really bad for him if it's happening like that. But I don't know, man. I just think he wins the first seven or so minutes at a high clip. And, Rob Font probably is going to take over late. I think a round 3 prop or something like that would probably be good. But I don't know. It's no side for me.
I don't think Rob Font has great finishing equity, to be completely honest with you. I'm just worried that if he does stuff a couple of takedowns, that's what I'm really worried is that he stuffs a couple of takedowns early, and I would have missed the only good number. That's why I have to play it at 2-1 pre. So,
one thing that Rosas, I think, does, we mentioned he shoots from really far away, but once he's in on single legs, especially early, this guy can chain wrestle his butt off.
He can. He has because he trains over in Vegas with the 10th Planet guys like Andy Barella, Marab, Patchy Mix are always in that singular gym, specifically always getting that work on those germ-filled mats.
Man, it's that's Andy Varela is a good comparison because he kind of has that style of grappling. It's very takedown heavy, and he chases the back.
Yep.
And I think if he locks in a body triangle, on Rob Font, that could be the round. At some point we do need to see some maturity in Rosas' game. We haven't really seen that yet. He's underperformed, I think, in his past couple of fights. But I think the year layoff, as long as he's doing the right things in the gym, I think it's a good sign for him. And with every passing day, this becomes a better fight for Rosas too. Rob Font's not getting any younger, but like you were saying, I think at 2-1, it's worth a shot. Matsumoto, I think, is better at this point than Raul Rosas. And Font won that, I thought, pretty clearly watching that fight. So, no, I respect the shot, but yeah, I'm staying away myself.
No, it's all good. See, and that's the best thing here. Just because it's my 5-star bets, it's not your 5-star bets. We're both staying away from the lower weight classes 1 to 2-star bets we have together. So, with that being said, let's move on to your 3-star bet of the day. What do you have for me for your 3-star?
So for my 3-star bet, it's I want to say this is the first fight of the card, if I'm not mistaken. but it is going to be Luke Fernandez versus Rodolfo Bellato, and I have that fight to go over 1.5 rounds. I think that, a lot of people are, probably raising eyebrows at that, considering Fernandez. I mean, and I'm going to turn to my notes in my notebook here, but, Fernandez, he's coming off a big knockout win on the Contender Series. Did you watch that fight by chance when it was on?
Let me pull up what this Fernandez. One sec. I'll know once I look at his name and his record. I just need to look. I just need to look at. I just need to look at what he looks like.
He's got a wrestling background. I want to say he wrestled Division III.
I don't know. So I honestly, I don't remember. I don't remember this fight whatsoever here for you.
Okay.
I know I just saw a post about this guy that he just quit his job from being like an electrician or something of that nature.
I don't know. I didn't see that. But yeah, he won in 15 seconds on the Contender Series. If you look at the guy he fought in that fight, it was the guy looked like a bag of milk, and that's, kind of being nice. A bit of a layup, to get into the UFC. I mean, he did what he was supposed to do in that fight, but, Bellato, I think he's a guy, we see him get hurt in his fights, but I think he, does a great job of surviving. He's got great heart. I think the Paul Craig fight, where there's a lot of controversy around it, where he, faked the knockout, maybe. You remember that one, the up kick, where he flops back after? Pretty uncharacteristic of him, because he's shown a lot of heart in his fights. And honestly, when you watch the replay, it does look like he faked it. What do you think?
I don't think there's a question that he faked it. Like, it's the reaction time too. So when he gets hit, and then there's the late jolt, almost like it's a Hollywood set too as well. You look on the slow motion replay, he's doing the eye thing. He's literally doing the eye roll. So
I don't.
He was scared of the almighty Paul Craig, the Bajou, the almighty Bajou.
Man, it's so weird, because this guy's been in some wars too. I mean, he gave Petrino, before he got knocked out, he gave Petrino a run for his money in the second fight. Knocked him down once and was chasing his back at one point. But I think Bellato, so he's got great BJJ. You'll see him even pull guard in some of his fights, something he did against Petrino. I think he's really tricky from the half guard, and he can really neutralize a lot of damage from bottom position. And I think that may be something that he has to do against the wrestling pedigree of Fernandez. Fernandez is somebody who, in his fight against Christian Edwards, that was a 4-round fight on CFFC, one of the, regional promotions. I think it's on UFC Fight Pass. But, a fight where he did a lot of cage pushing, wasn't really able to get his striking going, would get a couple of takedowns, but he showed, good pace and pressure, but a willingness at, such a young point in his career to play more of a patient game and to, play it safe and push against the cage for a few rounds, having all knockouts besides that. He also went against Phil Hawes in a grappling competition. I believe that was also through CFFC, where he won by anaconda choke. So that shows me that he's developing his game, but I think that there's going to be a stalemate in this fight. I think a lot of people are expecting Fernandez to just come out here and blast Bellato out in round one. But Bellato's shown in a lot of his fights, took a beating versus Potieria and survived, came back to win that fight. Had a draw against Jimmy Crute where he took a lot of damage in that fight.
What's crazy is I was just looking at the record. I remember the Sterling fight, but I do not remember the draw against Jimmy Crute. I can't remember that fight to save my life.
It was a war. It was a war. Win all 3 rounds. The grappling was kind of.
Was it a draw? Was it a draw due to was it a draw due to a 10-8 or a point deduction?
See, I was just watching the fight earlier too, and
I need to look. I'm gonna watch it, bro. If it's a war, I'll watch it when I'm walking my dog after this, because I don't. Man, this is the crazy thing when you watch so many fights.
Hurt him really bad in the fight. He knocked him down.
Man, Jimmy.
I want to say that's what it was.
Yeah, I need to check out this here for you. I need to check this out myself, because does that ever happen to you when you're looking up records and stuff and you're like, dude, I don't remember that fight whatsoever? Almost makes me feel like a casual, the fact that I didn't even know he went to a draw with Jimmy Crute. That almost blows my mind.
It was weird, because I want to say Jimmy Crute had a draw one of his last fights too. He had fought Alonzo Menafield to a draw, 1 or 2 fights
I just saw the card it was on. It makes sense. I still haven't seen Duplessis Strickland 2 to this day. I still haven't watched that fight. I was out of town that weekend, so I just saw the card it was on. I didn't watch any of these fights on this card. So that all makes complete sense now that I just saw which card it was.
That's a good one to watch back too. It's just one where Strickland pretty much had the same game plan, and Duplessis made all of the adjustments. I want to say he broke his nose in that fight. There was, at one point it looked like Strickland was going to get stopped. I want to say around 3 or 4, but that was a good fight.
Damn, man. Duplessis, man. I liked him a lot as a champion. I like Duplessis a lot as a champion personally, man.
Man, and I think there's a couple adjustments that he makes. He's right back there at the top. I've heard talks about him fighting Brendan Allen, and I think he'll destroy Brendan Allen. I think physically those are two very different looking human beings, and Duplessis I think would put it on him. But yeah, 3-star play over 1.5 rounds. I saw -115 on DraftKings for that. I think that Bellato's surviving. I think if he's watched anything on Fernandez, he should know he needs to extend this fight. And I think that's what he's going to try to do. Has a lot of round 2 stoppages in his career. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's even worth taking a shot on this fight going to decision. I saw it at plus 285, I believe, on FanDuel.
I've actually this year you've been seeing this a lot of chalk plays that have under 1.5s that are at horrible chalk numbers, and you're seeing a lot of these fights go to decision. Gautier Pololev is a good example.
Yep.
We just had one. What did I bet on? That was a decision bet that I should have just taken. Cheaty, and that fight was like plus 4-1 to go to decision, and I bet Cheaty by decision instead of just taking the fight to go the distance.
Some of these fights, some of these guys will come out and, fight really slow-paced fights. Nergozai versus, Rafael Tobias is one of the other cards that's on there, or one of the other fights that's early on the card. And those guys fight at a slow pace, and I'm pretty sure that under 1.5 is pick 'em, the over-under on that. And that's a fight I could see going all 3 rounds. Especially bigger guys, they can get tired, and you'll see a lot of this cage pushing. And yeah, Bellato Fernandez, I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think that Fernandez isn't going to be able to do a lot with Bellato on the ground. And, I think the grappling is going to cancel out, honestly. If it goes under, it's probably Bellato getting knocked out. So
I just want you to know your thorough assessment of this sold me. Honestly, it's an impressive breakdown, quite frankly, here. And that's why I think it's a great 3-star play, because I'm going to tail it. I have to put at least a half unit on this. Honestly, I think I'm going to play it to go to the distance just in general. I think it could come down to 2 as well as how does Fernando's cardio hold up in general. I'm not overly familiar with the guy, so I'm really kind of going off your basis, but I'm going to go back and watch the Bellato draw, and then I'm going to go back and watch Fernandez's last few fights.
Yeah, I mean, Bellato is he's shown a good ability to survive. Unless you're putting him all the way out, he's still going to be there. Fernandez, yeah, I mean, I think he's pretty good. He's just green, and I don't know if he's going to be able to advance position to get like a ground and pound stoppage on Bellato. I think we're going to see a lot of stalemates in this fight.
Hey, well, for overs, you got to love a good stalemate. Kiza Strickland getting that belt back next. I mean, Kiza, you were the guy on Strickland when everybody else was on Fluffy, so respect to you. But we broke the Kiza curse. Kiza, you got to remind me, what did we break the Kiza curse with last week? Navarrete Sugar, Vaquero, baby. We broke the Kiza curse because he was on Sugar and I was on Navarrete. We finally broke the Kiza curse.
Strickland looked like he had a new doctor in that last fight too. I knew when I was watching him walk out, I'm thinking, oh my God, what? Bro, this guy's making one last run. He's ready to go.
All righty, y'all. So my 3-star play of the day, Japanese boxing. It is at 3 a.m. my time, which is about 8-9 hours from now. I gave it out on the Discord at plus 130 on DK is where I got it posted at. The line is moved to minus 110. You have Shunpai Ohata versus Rei Saito. So you have Rei Saito here. Very exciting fighter. Holy shit, very exciting fighter. I posted it in the Discord for anyone to watch. 3-round war he had with Kai Watanabe. Trading in the pocket, trading hooks. He got dropped bad twice in that fight. Absolutely bad. I went back and watched his Jun Lee fight too as well, which was he took a lot of damage in that fight, and he ended up getting an 8-round stoppage himself. But his next fight against Ryu, who I couldn't find the tape on this fight, he got stopped. So I wanted to see how that stoppage went. You have the element added of the factor that it's in Japan. These guys are going to be fighting this fight inside of the pocket. And the one thing about Ryo Saito is he is defensively void. He eats shots for a living. His head is a speed bag, quite frankly. He eats right hands from hell. And you have someone like Shunpei Ohata, who was down 3 rounds, in my opinion, against Gio in his last fight. And he ends up smoking him with a left hand to the body and a right hand up top when they're trading right hooks. I noticed that Ohata has a great tendency to keep a good guard hand when he's trading hooks in moments. He does have moments where he has lapses, but nowhere near as many lapses as Ryo Saito. I think from the outside, he also has a better jab than someone like Ryo Saito. I think he's going to work the body just a little bit more. And just coming off looking at a trend, Ryo Saito went to an absolute war and then got stopped, where he ate a lot of punishment and ate a lot of damage against Ryu. He ate a lot of punishment and a lot of damage in his 3rd round knockout versus Kei Watanabe, where he got dropped twice. Buzzsaw through for the first minute of the 2nd round and then came back strong in the later rounds too as well. Both fighters coming off comeback 3rd round knockouts. Ohata's tape's a little bit harder to find, really, because I could only find the LGO fight, but that one fight was enough to impress me in this case here for you. I went and found some highlights and stuff on his Instagram, which kind of sharpened up all the stuff that I was looking for too. And then you have the added element of Japan, to where they're going to be looking to pull the trigger earlier and stopping the fights quicker. Ryo Saito has a tendency to get dropped, has a tendency to get punched. And in this case, I'm going to take the guy that I trust has the sturdier chin and may not have the bigger power, but the sturdier chin, and that's going to willing to hang in there and hang in the pocket. Oh, that's what it was. I actually saw the draw against Kei Watanabe. For that, I knew I watched another fight here for you. Against Kei Watanabe, when Ryo Saito was getting starched by these right hands, you had Ohata eating these right hands very cleanly. He has a sturdy base, sturdy chin, knows how to hang in there. And again, he's just a little bit more defensively sound in the mechanism. I gave it out at plus 130. It's now even money, which is still very playable, y'all. You guys do not have to chase parlays. You can play even money and build your bankroll, everybody. Remember that. Straights pay the rates. Say it with me, y'all. Straights pay the rates.
Straights pay the rates.
Come on now. Come on now. With that being said, this is very playable. And I also sprinkled a 0.66 unit. I put literally 66 on Ohata by knockout, because I think he's going to catch Ryo Saito in an exchange at some point here within the 10 rounds. I love this play here for you. I couldn't believe he was a dog, and I was just watching the line move week over week, and we love getting peak price over around here. You know that. You know, peak price and value hunting is my favorite thing about this game, more than the tape, more than even watching the fight sometimes. I love getting a peak value play and watching the number drop. So even though EV doesn't win you a fight, I like Ohata in this case here for you. I think it's a close fight with Ryo, 50-50 fight. And I'm going to take the guy that I think realistically it's more of a 60-40 fight, in my opinion, when it comes to Ohata. Better chin, better defensive mechanisms. I think he lands in a trade. So
I'm going to have to tune in for it. That's going to be probably pretty early Eastern time, though.
Johnny got what round for KO? What? Neither of us are Johnny, bro. We're Breaking Bad, your boy Nick, and Big Sam. Shout out my boy Johnny, though. You know I love Johnny. But Johnny got what round KO? I don't understand that question here for you. But yeah, I like Ohata a lot in this case here for you. I don't know if you got a chance to tape it or if you even watched the Watanabe fight. If you have a chance, bro, go watch Ryo Saito versus Watanabe. It is a pleasure of 8.5 rounds to watch, or 8.5 minutes. I'm sorry.
Dude, I have so much trouble keeping up with you guys sometimes because I am a bit of a boxing casual. So I'm going to write that down to watch.
Check it out, bro. You could actually look in the Discord and Concussion discussions. It's in the media links. So you can find it. You can find it. It's linked in there. You just have to scroll maybe just a little bit. I just posted it maybe like 4 or 5 days ago. Great scrap. Well worth it. What round for the KO? I can't really give a round because Saito's going to come to trade instantly. And he, in my opinion, he can get stopped early or he can get stopped late. I just think Ohata's going to find the button at some point. So what do you have for your 4-star play, Mr. Big Sam?
My 4-star play, I believe this fight is on the undercard, if I'm not mistaken. But it's Sumu Darji versus Jesus Aguilar. And I have this fight to go the distance at minus 150. When you look at Sumu Darji, you know, he's a guy who he has a lot of submission losses in his career. You know, he's 18-7 as a pro with 6 submission losses. When you look at a lot of those fights, Tim Elliott, who's a staple of the flyweight division, been there a long time, took him down, passed his guard quick, and arm triangled him. Matt Schnell, that's one of the all-time best fights that I've probably ever watched. Him and Matt Schnell.
That shit was a absolute war. Trading
crazy
defense at the door, defensive optional. Let's trade flash knockdowns and roll like some rabbits on the floor. Like, it was absolutely insane, bro.
Yeah, 100%. So he's shown some susceptibility to the submission in the past. I think he showed a lot of maturity in his game in the Charles Johnson fight. Thought he defended a lot of the grappling very well. Johnson was trying to take him down. So showed improvement, from the Elliott fight to then. Then it's coming off a win versus Kevin Borjas and then Mitch Raposo, where against Mitch Raposo, I want to say he went 8 for 16 on takedowns. So Sumudaerji shows that that's a hole that, he's really worked to patch up in his game. And Aguilar, on the other hand, it's, not a lot of pop in the shots. He has 1 career win by knockout, but his calling card is he has one of the best guillotine chokes in the entire UFC. If he wins, more often than not, he's going to be catching that. Against Stuart Nickel, he was a big underdog, and he caught that in that fight. Stuart Nickel made a careless shot, and he got put to sleep. Other fights, he's coming off a decision win over Luis Garule, but I think that, in this fight, I think the maturity that Sumudaerji's shown in his game to be able to defend the takedowns, I don't think that he's going to give Jesus Aguilar his win condition, which is going to be that guillotine choke. Aguilar shows great durability. We haven't really ever seen him hurt in the UFC. And, at minus 150, the flyweight division, where I think if you poll every flyweight fight, from all the way through 2025 until now, more often than not, it is going to go to the cards. And I think minus 150 is a gift of the line here.
Wait, that's what the line is. It's minus 150
to go the distance. Yep.
Boom. Minus 150.
Yeah,
I forgot to post. I forgot to actually post the line. That's my fault. That's my fault here. I want to see here because. By the way, who do you think? Do you have a lean on who you think wins this fight?
It's Sumudaerji. I think he can defend takedowns and keep him at the end of his punches. I think Aguilar is going to try to get the grappling going, and that's going to, slow the fight down a little bit. But, he's a very stoutly built guy. He doesn't take the back particularly well. He probably couldn't lock a body triangle on a lot of guys his weight. And his game really thrives when somebody's shooting on him. I think he's very durable. He can, maybe cage push a little bit in this fight. And it's, I could see it being a 29-28 type of victory either way, but don't really.
Yeah, well, he has strong third rounds. His third round against, was it Estevame, who he lost?
That's a guy who slows down, though. But, yeah, he did have a strong third round in that fight.
Yeah, so that was a different fight, of course, here. But that was just one thing that I thought I remember specifically about Aguilar that really impressed me was how he finishes fights. He goes through the gears fast. So,
yeah, he particularly thrives when he has opponents who want to grapple him. Because in that fight, Estevam, who, he put a wrestling clinic on Charles Johnson, amongst other fighters. I think he's still undefeated, actually. A lot of guys like that, Stuart Nickel, primarily a grappler. A lot of fighters like that, I think Aguilar can look good against. But I think Sumudaerji is going to be trying to stay as far away as he can from Aguilar, trying to not let him get that grappling going. And I could see it being a staring contest for bits. Aguilar will have to push the pace, but I think his durability and then Sumudaerji avoiding the grappling at all costs, I think this is going to go to the cards.
I think we got your 4-star play, baby.
It feels like something that should be minus 300 if you ask me. I just don't think Aguilar is going to have any opportunity to set up a guillotine. And I don't think Sumudaerji is going to be the first to knock him out.
Love it, bro. Well, let's ride. We got your 4-star play. Now I'm typing my 4-star play. My bad, y'all. So the lines actually came in on this here too as well. I know I've already posted this. I posted this in the Discord a bit ago. Pablo Rubio, ZUFFA Boxing, 4-star play, plus 145. I love this play. I love this play. Yes, Pablo Rubio, I think what's baked into the line is his layoff. He's only had one fight in the last 4 years. I believe the reason I believe that, from what I can gather, is my assumption is the fact that he's opened up his own boxing gym and he's probably focusing on that. He seems really ready to go. I listened to matchmakers from Golden Boy talk about him 9 years ago, and he was a highly touted local prospect, very highly touted, sparring some of the best competition in the land. Got in some good rounds this camp with Chop Gonzalez. Shout out my boy AC the Hulk for some deep dives with me. Another thing too as well about Pablo Rubio is he's just kind of a buzzsaw. He builds round over round, and that's someone I love. A 10-round fight favors him far heavier than an 8-round fight. But I think even in an 8-round fight, he can take off 3 of these rounds. I think he's defensively sound enough to where he's always getting his guard hand back. He's going to walk forward, pressure style. He's not going to play the you go, I go, yo-yo game. He's going to punch with you. He's going to punch before you, and he's going to punch after you. And someone like Adon Palma, yes, he's younger. He has the flashier records, more knockout, definitely has the more pop, solid check left hook. He knows how to flash on the inside with the right hand, and he knows how to punch the body. Both of these guys know how to punch the body. But the thing about Aiden Palma is he's too inconsistent in his work. He's fights in spurts, fights for the perfect moments. He can be held with his back against the ropes. Let me pull up these guys' box recs here so I can preference the tape that I actually watched on these fights here. So the fight against Carlos Majuka, he allowed Carlos Majuka to hold him against the ropes and tee off on the body, and just allowed a tee off works while only trying to show single pop shots until he finally landed that single pop shot on Majuka. Again, Majuka's 8-7, and he allowed him to let off these punching and ribbing shots. Sharon Carter, he didn't have a jab in the Sharon Carter whatsoever. He wasn't entering the front door. He was entering the front door blind as hell against Sharon Carter, eating damage on the way in. And quite frankly here, split decision win could have gone either which way. Aiden Palma didn't look very impressed in that fight. And then the Judy Flores fight where he got the second round knockout. Used his jab a little bit more, so it showed a little bit of fight over fight growth, which I appreciate. But again, he fights in spurts, man. His body punching was good and it was very powerful, but his way to moments on moments where he was allowing Judy Flores to get off enough shots. He's going to be fighting a guy, Pablo Rubio, who has, in my opinion, pretty decent record when it comes to it here. His last win specifically against Alfredo Cruz. Alfredo Cruz went to a majority decision with John Paul Rivera, who a lot of people like on the Puerto Rican scene. And he knocked out Alfredo Cruz, ripping him up to the body, killing him up top, building round over round in those 6-round fights. Got him out of there in the 6 rounds here for you. Good win back in the day over someone like David Perez, which is, good record, but a can-crushing kind of guy. But it built a lot of confidence for him in the 6 rounds that he went to that split decision when you found the tape on him. And his fighting style has been consistent is the best thing. Back in the day, 4 years ago, he was consistent at working round over round, pressure style, building over the rounds, punching to the body, pushing your back against the ropes, where, again, Aiden Palma allows works to be teed off when his backs are against the ropes. I think the 8-round pace suits him. I can see him having a little bit of trouble navigating with Aiden Palma and the power of him early. But I think once he starts getting on the inside with the buzzsaw, has a little bit of Chino Garcia to him, the way he kind of walks forward, throws whipping shots both to the body and up top, knows how to follow up top too as well. I like Pablo Rubio in this fight here, man. The line's definitely coming in on him, so I recommend you guys get on him now, because you could have got him earlier at the week at plus 185, plus 165. Now he's down to plus 137 on Bet365. So I love Pablo Rubio Jr. in this fight, prospect versus prospect, but I just think the line is really baked into the inactivity and the age. So
the casual take that I'll give on this is I love when there are 2 fighters where it's a closely lined fight and both have undefeated records. I think that always makes for a lot of fun because there is so much unknown. There's one of these guys is going to be in a position where we haven't seen them before. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm very unfamiliar with both fighters, but I'll definitely be tuned in.
Just to shout out my boy AC and to scratch the back of the Breaking Bad boxing Discord. You know what? The last time we had an undefeated versus undefeated prospect matchup where we ate off that one? Jay Brio De Benito, baby. Shout out our boy fucking Jay Brio, baby. Come on.
That was crazy because everybody in the Discord ate on that one.
And I'm hoping
I just kind of listened to you guys.
Bro, it was absolutely insane. That was one of the best deep dives. Shout out to my boy AC, bro, because the best thing about having a great community around you here is You don't see no draw in that fight. Which fight are you talking about specifically, PJ? Because the draw we were talking about was Salas versus Sriracha, and the fight we're talking about now is I like Pablo Rubio Jr. is the money line play. Yeah, man. It was just one of those things. That's the best thing about building a sick little community here for you. Like I'm taking Cody Garbrandt purely based off the community in this case here. So yeah, man, I love it.
And even for somebody like me who is, I am more of a casual in boxing. I'm a newer fan. I've been an MMA fan for
if you can watch combat, you can watch combat. That's really what it comes down to. Do you have the eyes to watch combat? You can watch either sport, in my personal opinion.
Yeah,
baby.
I agree, and I've been an MMA fan for a long time, but that's why I always, I'm always in the Discord saying, "Hey guys, what are the fights to watch this weekend?" Because as a combat fan, I might not always know where the spots are to look, but the Jay Brio shout out was great. That wasn't one I had on my radar, and I looked into it a little bit, myself after AC shouted it out, and that was an awesome hit for the whole group.
Yeah, man, we do good. We do really good on these ZUFFA cards. I mean, I feel like it started off with J-Rod. Our original ZUFFA banger was J-Rod. We got Julian Rodriguez. We got Hot Rod, which was a bad read, but a great result. We got lucky with the Hot Rod knockout. Shout out AC with the Jay Brio because he pulled us all together for the Jay Brio, quite frankly, here for you. We all got Fawaz, of course. We got Danielle Perkins together.
We were shouting out the live bet for Rayo versus what's his name?
Oh, we got Boachuk live. We got Rayo live.
Rayo live, that made no sense because I thought he was winning pretty much the entire fight.
He was minus 140 all the way up to round 5? He was essentially minus 140 all the way up to round 5.
It might have been even later than that. It was late into the fight. The odds were close, and then they start reading the cards, and the first judge, they read out his card, and you knew he had won.
We kind of got hoed on a draw yesterday. We could have got a draw yesterday. Shout out our boy, the Regis Prograis of boxing, for the original shout on the draw with the Moreno versus McCallman. I thought it was a draw. I thought it could have been a draw. Realistically, 6-4 on Canada's cards, but 8-2 is crazy line.
I was watching that fight, and it felt like it was really close. 8-2 is a crazy scorecard. I don't even know how to get to that, but.
And I shouted to as well the Frank Martin Nair Albright draw too as well. Has all the cookings just like the Sriracha Salas draw. All the cookings. Close fights, split draws, split decisions. I'm telling you guys, Sriracha Salas, watch out for a draw on this one. PJ, to answer your question on Pablo and Pablo Rubio draw, it's an 8-round fight. You can always see an 8-round fight in a draw. I think someone's getting dropped in this fight, and that's why I'm worried about the 8 rounds. I think it's going to be Pablo Rubio dropping Aiden Palma to the body while buzzsawing through him around 6, 7, or 8. But I can also see Palma landing one of those sick check hooks and dropping him early too as well. So I don't love a draw in this case here for you. And there's no true A side, B side in this one because the lines are so close. It sucks the first 3 ZUFFA cards we got amazing lines. This card, they got a little bit more hip. So what's your 5-star play, Big Sam?
5-star play is back to UFC. It's I didn't find anything I could put in a 5-star play. I wanted to try to pick something for the main event, Opataya versus Glanton, but yeah, back to MMA, and it's Drew Dober versus Michael Johnson. And watched a lot of tape for this fight, and have some thoughts on it. But the play that stood out to me is fight ends by KO. It's at minus 150. I told myself I wasn't going to make any jokes in the breakdown, going into this. But I think Drew Dober, he's going to put a lot of pressure on it. He's going to go for the knockout. Michael Johnson, he's somebody who doesn't always respond well to pressure.
What jokes could you possibly be referring to when we're talking about Michael Johnson, or better yet, Drew Dober fighting Michael Johnson? Wonder what jokes could anyone possibly be referring to? I wonder.
It might be a good matchup. I don't know. Dober might do well in this fight. No, I looked at it, and that was my initial thought pre-tape. I do think that we've seen a bit of a regression from Dober as of late, which makes me hesitate on pulling the Dober by knockout trigger. But I think he's going to put a lot of pressure on Michael Johnson. And Michael Johnson, in most of his last few fights, we've seen him fighting on the front foot in leading the dance. And I don't think Dober's going to give him an opportunity to do that. I think he's going to be the one pressing the action. Johnson, he typically doesn't handle pressure all that well. One thing he will do, though, is he's going to fire back with something big. I think that we're going to have exchanges that look like car crashes between these guys, and somebody's going to go down. I think that you can almost, I think there's a lot of opportunities that guys have to have a club and sub victory. You're not going to see that here. It's neither of these guys are going to attack submissions, and that would be extremely surprising to me.
That would be shocking to see.
I don't even know what they go for.
Unless it was some like fluky ass shot from a mile away guillotine that you see in MMA. One of those fluky ass submissions, which would still shock me. I would be shocked to see a sub in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be really surprised, but I think that Dober's going to be on the front foot. He's going to be forcing the action, and Johnson's going to come back with some fire. And I think that that's going to lead to an explosive fight for the fans. And yeah, I see somebody going down here. I think both guys have questionable chins at this point in their careers. Johnson has fought a bit more conservatively, but I don't think Dober's going to give him an opportunity to do that. Yeah, minus 150, I think is a gift of a line. Reminds me a bit of one of my last 5-star plays where they had the same bet, and that was Volkan Ozdemir versus Alonzo Menafield. Most of the time, guys are trying to grapple each of these, Dober and Johnson. Guys want to grapple against them, and they have a matchup now to where these guys are going to stand in the middle and strike. UFC knows what they're doing with this matchup. They know it's going to be a fan-friendly fight, and yeah, there's going to be a highlight reel at the end of it.
Yeah, this fight's, I mean, come on now. This fight is, it doesn't matter. If you're a casual and you're like, man, we got to get our homies into a fight when it comes to this weekend, this is one of those fights that you put them onto. It's not going to be a one-sided washing either which way. They're going to go out on their shields, either of these guys, and they're just going to, it's going to be a scrap, brother. It's going to be a scrap. It's going to be a war. It's going down, quite frankly, here. So
Johnson, Johnson's had a lot of opponents too, where they like to fight more patiently. Mark Jacasey, Darius Flowers, Daniel Zellhuber, guys like these, they fight very passively, and that's not Dober. He's going to bring the fight to him, and yeah, we're going to see fireworks.
Yeah, man. He says, so who wins? So who do you think wins this one? Yeah, Keisa said Dober is going to win and call out Jalen Turner. The jokes write themselves. The jokes are written for us by someone else. Who do you think wins this, mate?
You got to side with Dober. I mean, he's shown some durability issues himself lately. But overall for his career, he's held up. I think when the going gets tough, he's the guy who you can trust more. I think when the going gets tough, Johnson can tend to fade a little bit. Dober can have his nose broken, cuts on his face and everything. And he's still going to be pushing forward. That's just the way that he fights. Johnson is a better hammer than he is a nail, so I'd lean Dober, but no side.
Yeah, man. I think it's a tough fight. I think it's going to be, I think it kind of comes down to is how well does Dober deal with that onslaught overall? Like how well does he do with the onslaught? So when it comes to that, man,
I don't even know if it's the onslaught, but I think when he steps forward into range with Johnson might look a lot faster than he does. We'll know once they're in the cage, and I would see Dober getting countered or something.
When I say onslaught, I should just say first round. The first round speed of Michael Johnson. That's really just the first round speed, because Michael Johnson, it's weird as how old he is, but he doesn't seem to age all that much.
Yeah, he tends to fight to the level of his competition too. He's shown that throughout his career. He'll lose to Darren Elkins and beat prime Tony Ferguson, and shit like that. So, yeah, I just think somebody's getting knocked out here. The styles just clash perfectly to where they're going to stand and bang. Dober's going to force the action. Johnson's going to have to counter big. He's not just going to be able to jab and stay on the outside. So, yeah, it'll be a good fight for the fans. I have a lot of buddies who are real casuals to MMA. They'll tune in if it's Paddy Pimblett or somebody like that fighting. But I'm going to tell them, Dober versus Johnson, that's a fight you watch this weekend.
Yeah, that's a banger of a scrap. It'll get people. He said, who's the A side? Who is the A side in this fight?
In that one, I was saying earlier, one of my things that I believe is that there's always a business agenda for it. I don't think the UFC cares who wins this fight. I think they just want a good fight. They know somebody's going to get knocked out.
Well, in that case here, man, I love it, man. And I love the play. Minus 150 for the knockout. Big Sam's 5-star play of the day ends in knockout minus 150. It's his favorite, most confident play of the week, and it's a great one. My most confident play of the week here for you, which is absolutely hilarious because this guy always seems to give me PTSD when I bet on him. So take this for what it is, guys. I have Jai Apataya, Brandon Glanton, fight ends rounds 7 through 12. It's the same exact price as Jai Apataya knockout 7 through 12. So you have Brandon Glanton, man. Brandon Glanton is just a notoriously tough cookie, man. He's tough as old leather boots. It wouldn't even surprise me, quite frankly, if this fight went to the decision. Honestly, my man's laughing here at this. I know my boy is laughing at this. I knew it. I was thinking about you when I was thinking about my 5-star play because I was thinking about what's going to be my most confident play of the week, and I finished my film run of tape study today. Jai Apataya looks locked in. He looks ready. ZUFFA did not bring this guy in to lose, unfortunately.
100%. Yep.
I'm going to be honest. I played Brandon Glanton on Bet Online very lightly at plus 1,100, and the line has ballooned to like plus 2,000. So I wish I would have waited now and played a little bit like how I did, just simply in case it's a banana peel fight. But Jai Apataya is going to build as the fight goes on. Once Glanton slows down and he's not able to close that gap, get on the inside and work. Because from range, this fight's not close. Jai Apataya from range is going to work him from range, use his athleticism, use his footwork angles, his reaction timing, the way he pulls and counters, pulls and traps, the way he moves off a line and punches off a line is absolutely incredible. Glanton's just notoriously tough. He's notoriously sturdy. He's going to get in on the inside. He's going to work the body well. He's going to put together volume punches, but he's only going to be able to do it when he's on the inside and when he has Apataya's back's against the ropes. And he's not that effective on the inside from the middle of the range. He tries to use a frame, but his frame isn't overly effective because you leave so many holes in his own guard. I just think Glanton's eventually going to also slow down from feeling the pace and feeling the literal. I always liken Jai Apataya kind of like a monolith that just grows and grows as you walk closer and closer and closer to it. Every round, you're just walking closer and closer and closer to this giant cathedral of a thing that's just so damn massive, and it builds and it builds, and eventually he's going to find that button. Sin Cara was a can, in my personal opinion, when I was taping him, but he was a lot tougher than I thought. I guess Jai Apataya had facial injury coming into that fight we didn't know about. In this fight, he's training 40-plus rounds. I am a little bit worried about those rounds 1 through 6, but I think Glanton is tough as old boots, never been stopped before. And I think if he gets stopped, which I will think he does get stopped, I think he's going to be stopped around rounds 9 through 12. But I'd rather play the safe play since it is a 5-star play. And I'm putting it ends through 7 through 12. Either fighter, just in case that banana peel comes from Glanton, plus 160. No point in literally chasing Apataya by the knockout when it's literally the same odds. It's literally not a cent off. It's plus 160 Apataya 7 through 12. It's fight ends 1 through 12. Plus 160, guys. Don't be dumb. Take that. So all that being said here, I like Apataya. I think he's going to pick him apart and kill him from range. And I think Glanton's going to walk in unresponsibly onto something in the later rounds. Just because that's his fighting style.
Yeah, I think, I didn't know anything about Glanton before I got into tape on this fight, but something that he does pretty well, he's going to put his forehead in your chest and he's going to want to fight on the inside. As fights go on, he tends to lose I don't even know. I mean, he gets tired, but he loses his shape a little bit. He'll swing really big.
Man, really quick, if I could, I just want to tell people when I use the term losing shape, it doesn't mean their cardio is gone. Yeah. Losing shape is literally the form in which they're throwing their punches, how sharp everything looked originally to how it looks in the end. Some people have great cardio and can fight like a motherfucker, but their shape looks absolutely horrendous. They're losing their balance, throwing themselves off of their base. Someone like Felix Alvarado, the Nicaraguan fighter, perfect example. Great cardio, horrible shape. Looks okay early, but looks absolutely dog shit by the 7 through 12 rounds. Sorry for cutting you off.
No, you're fine. I think he loses his shape. His punches start to look more labored. He'll swing and miss really big. And I think that can get him countered and hurt here. I think Opataya hits incredibly hard for a 200-pound man. Does his best work on the outside. And yeah, 7 through 12, I like the pick. I was trying to find an angle here myself, and I think I saw fight goes the distance at plus 160, and I was looking at that. I think they, the business behind ZUFFA would like to see Opataya get a knockout in this fight, but yeah, I couldn't get to anything myself. I do think Opataya is going to look good in this fight, whether it's a lopsided decision where he starts really pulling ahead late. But I could definitely see the late stoppage as well. Glanton, I think when you look at the tape on him, if the Opataya camp is trying to plan for Glanton, it's not easy, I guess, to plan for him, but it's simple. You know what you have to do to beat him. You need to stay on the outside. You need to, keep your guard up when he's in close, and he's going to be swinging big hooks and uppercuts. But I think Opataya should get the job done and look good doing it.
CBS in round 9, when CBS had his own backs against the rope, lined him up with an uppercut when Glanton was too far over his base that snapped his head back and rocked him a little bit. Didn't hurt him, but it rocked him a little bit. And if Opataya lands a few shots like that, he's going to go through the gears and he's going to stop you. CBS had 0 gears to go through to try to put the stoppage in. Yeah, man, I like it. 7 through 12 here. Shout out our boy Regis Progray of Boxing Betting, Jay Brio PB right here for you. He's laughing because he is on the Opataya decision. He's on the Opataya decision, which I absolutely can see because Glanton is tough as old leather skin. But in this case here, I just got to play it for how I think it's actually going to go. I think he's just going to slow. I would rather sweat the 7 through 12 than sweat the decision, if that makes sense. Because I think Opataya is dangerous all 12. As compared to, I know Glanton is going to slow down when the fight starts to get. One thing is Glanton eventually at some point is going to start over swinging and over committing and losing his base and leave himself open to get countered. He's not going to be as wide open as someone like his Fendoro Moreno, who we just saw the other day, but he's going to leave himself open to be getting hooked. And one thing that Jai Opataya knows how to do is catch you with a counter, knows how to move off an angle, and he knows how to go through the gears. All things that we can trust Jai Opataya to do. So.
And if Glanton gets stuck at range, really, especially, as the fight goes on, if he gets stuck at range at any point in this fight, it's one-way traffic from there. I don't think he has a game to really be able to compete on the outside.
Dude, this fight is as linear as it gets for Glanton. Yeah. He needs to get on the inside and cause enough body work to slow down Opataya and enough damage to go up top to stop him. Without that, he's not winning this fight. He's not winning this fight on the cards, not because he can't. Really, he can't. I don't think from the longer mid-range he has the game to do so, or the entrances. You guys hear me talk about entrances all the time. Glanton entrances are not even earmuffs, goggles, straight up goggles. Walking in, goggles, shoulder lean, shoulder lean, shoulder lean. Shit, I couldn't cut you off. Let me use my sloppy feet to shoulder lean, shoulder lean, shoulder lean. Shit, can't cut you off again.
When you look at the tape for his fights, when he's doing well, it almost universally looks the same in every fight.
It literally does. It's leaning, like you said, head on a chest, getting on the inside. It's like a lesser effective, lesser volume, like a Mabili style in a way, except Mabili's just kind of like, Mabili's like a cartoon character in the way he spams punches. Glanton does lean over a lot too. I saw some Jai's public workout, and he was spamming check hooks and straight. By the way, guys, the IBF title is on the line for Jai Opataya in this one, by the way, too, as well. The IBF title is on the line. I'm curious how that works with the rehydration clause, if they're even going to worry about the rehydration clause, because it has to do with ZUFFA. So that's important to note, man. And I think Jai Opataya is being set up to win the first inaugural ZUFFA title, and he definitely doesn't want to lose his IBF title because that's his play to the Noah McKellian fight. That's his play to the possibly Zerto versus Benavidez fight. So yeah. But yeah, we ran through our 5-star bets here for you. Yeah. I feel pretty good about him. Do you want to give a recap of your 5-star bets before I let you go, mate?
Yeah, I can give a recap of them. And any fights you wanted to talk about that we didn't have any picks for? I'm looking and I realized neither of us had anything for the UFC co-main event, which I'm really excited to watch.
Oh, okay. So no, actually, there's actually a play I want to sprinkle on that. There's a sprinkle I want to take.
I'm curious. Is it on the DeRitter side? Is it on the Bahayo side?
It's on the DeRitter side.
He looked in great shape at the weigh-in. He's huge.
Bro, I love okay, it's hard to love anything DeRitter does besides his pure. Okay, he knows how to utilize his limbs when it comes to grappling, right? Like he's one of those.
How do you plan for a guy like that? Where like his grappling style, nobody does that.
Like he's short. He's short choking Kevin Holland in an MMA fight. Repeat that, guys. He's short choking Kevin Holland in an MMA fight. Like
he finished it palm to palm like that.
Dude, it's so sick, bro. All that pressure and crank. You're hanging Renee DeRitter submission over at a plus 1100 over my head, and I'm not going to take the bait. in a 3-round fight where I know the Ritter can push the pace?
Yeah, it's so tough because Ohio's Damian Maia black belt, I want to say, and he's so good on the ground. In a pure grappling sense, both of these guys are excellent. Like
Absolutely.
If a lot of the guys in the UFC, really regardless of division, had a pure jiu-jitsu competition, I would think both of these guys would do very well, especially at middleweight. Very much, and sometimes it's to their detriment because neither of them have the best takedowns, I don't think. De Ritter, especially early in fights, I think he does, but great submission grapplers. Both have a very, very deep bag when it comes to their jiu-jitsu offense and their submission offense.
They have never hung De Ritter at 11 to 1100 to 1 on us. 1100 plus 1100. How am I not going to sprinkle that? Just how am I not going to sprinkle that? A guy that I know that anytime that he's going to get in a position that he has a liability to end the fight. And I didn't love how Cal Brau looked against Imavov, who Imavov is a world-class talent. Absolutely a world-class talent. But people forget before Rene De Ritter, where I have to trust that he was actually sick in that fight. People were talking about after this Brandon Allen fight, he's fighting for a title.
Yeah.
I'm big on confidence too as well. You have a lot of issues going on over at Cal Brau with the fighting with the fighting nerds, right?
Drama in that camp, yeah.
There's a lot of drama in that camp.
John Silva, their whole beef that they have is kind of stupid, but I don't know. Maybe there's something.
There's something up with that camp, and yes, they have a good game plan, but he's now taking over kind of a coaching role. I've noticed from his Instagram, from all the pages and things of that nature. He's traveling, coaching, doing seminars and things of that nature. And as compared to Rene De Ritter, seems locked the fuck in on his social medias. You're hanging 11 to 1 on a guy that has 14 career submissions over good competition throughout his 14 career submissions versus a guy that's coming off really a one-way loss, an easily one-way loss, a career L in this case, I guess you can say. Give me it. And I understand my logic is going anti there because look at Rene De Ritter's career loss. I know that's an anti-logic. That makes stupid sense. But you're sprinkling a guy purely based off probability 11 to 1 over my head for you. Let's just go look at this 1 second here.
And while you're looking it up, I don't have anything on the fight, but De Ritter, he's such a tough guy to get a read on because
You're telling me Rene De Ritter has only an 8% chance? That's an implied probability of 8.6% chance. That's fucking crazy. Guys, when I talk about value, that's what you need to do. Get a good odds converter. Look at your odds. You're telling me to Rene De Ritter, if these guys fought
plus 1100, you said?
Plus 1100 on bet.
That is pretty crazy. I'm writing that down.
Plus 1100. And I'm not saying I'm only putting a 0.25 unit on it, but plus 1100 is absolutely bonkers for Rene De Ritter's submission. A guy that has great all-around grappling. He's strong as shit. He's going to be the stronger guy in there. And he just has a system that works for him. He has a sloppy sloth kind of grappling style system. He kind of reminds me, not the donkey guard, but he kind of reminds me of the bald white dude, Jeff
Glover.
Jeff Glover. His jiu-jitsu reminds me of Jeff Glover's, bro. Like unorthodox, slow grind kind of style to where it can speed up at any moment and then it slows back down. It revs through gears and it's very unorthodox in all of entanglements. So
it reminds me a lot of it's his first opponent in the UFC. He's like a better version of Gerald Mearshart, honestly. Where they're both very like slow twitch, muscle fiber kind of guys. They're not very explosive.
Wet blankets.
He's strong when he grabs you, and he probably feels like a ton of bricks when he weighs on top of you. But he's got a deep bag when it comes to submission. I mean, he's that inverted triangle that he had locked in on Brendan Allen. He's hit that in fights before. Like, he's submitted guys with that. Great rear naked choke, can lock a body triangle on anybody. But it's weird because the fights against Anatoly in one championship. That's a guy.
Anatoly is you just said, you stole it out of my mouth. I was going to say walking pharmacy. That dude would glow under a blue light. Legit would look like Mountain Dew is coursing through his veins.
But in the second fight, seeing how he got tired there, seeing how he got tired pretty much the same way against Brendan Allen in his last fight. And he kind of did that against Gerald Mearshart too. Both of those guys are about to fall off a cliff in that fight by the end of it when DeRitter locked in the arm triangle. But then against Robert Whitaker, he looks great. That's what
he looks great against Robert Whitaker. He's defending the hell with the grappling when it comes to Bo Nickel. I mean, we can't take too much out of it.
With Whitaker too.
Dude, you know one thing too about Rene DeRitter? As a dog, bro, he's undefeated. He's undefeated in the UFC. He's undefeated as a dog in the UFC. He was a dog to Bo Nickel. He was a dog. Believe it or not, he opened up. He didn't close. He closed as a favorite, but he opened up as a dog. So we're still counting that against Kevin Holland. He opened up plus 124. Yep. Check that, y'all. He closed and opened up as a dog versus Robert Whitaker. I don't know, man. I'm going to follow the trend here. I like Rene DeRitter possibly to get a win. I think it's a sneaky little parlay shot for a money line for a fuck it parlay, but I am sprinkling that Rene DeRitter submission.
Yeah. My issue with him is
I don't think he knocks out Cal Barrio, and I think Barrio is a way better minute winner than Rene DeRitter. So what's his win condition? In my personal opinion, it's a submission. And you're hanging a guy, and again, I think if they fight 100 times, I definitely think he submits Cal Barrio at least 15 times. At least 15 times. To put an anecdotal number, because I think Rene DeRitter wins this fight, more, probably 40 clip of 100 fights. And if I think his win condition is submission, why not 15? So if we're looking at that into value, I'm stealing over $2 of value in my personal head calculated. Come on now.
Yeah, and I mean, even just visibly on the scale, his last fight to now, I mean, he looks like a superhuman. So, yeah, I'll be curious to see how that one goes. I don't plan to have any action on it. Bahia was disappointing in his last fight. DeRitter was disappointing in his. But it's two specialists, I think, in MMA. You don't see a lot of guys who really lean into one part of mixed martial arts like they do, but these guys are great grapplers. Two of the best in the middleweight division.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this fight. Is there any other, besides that fight, is there any other fights you want to talk about?
I'm trying to see. I think we talked through a lot of them. I love RoboCop's one of my favorite fighters, so I'm excited to see him rematch
Pereira. Bruno looks like he found that Brazilian acai himself as well.
Man, he looks in five-star play for me too.
He looks in immaculate shape, dude.
Yeah. I mean, he has abs that, he hasn't ever had before, because he's a more stout guy for that weight class. Because I probably am going to end up betting him. I haven't done it yet, but I agree. I also think I'm going to end up betting him, man. When a guy has cardio issues and comes in with abs like that, you got to love to see it because he knows you're working on your cardio minimum working on your cardio. Yeah. And I mean, when we look at their matchup the first time, what has Bruno Ferreira shown since then? Has he shown us that he's, since before the first RoboCop fight? Obviously, he was a much bigger underdog then, but has he shown us that he's better or worse since then? I think he's shown us a lot more layers to his game. He's shown us grappling. He's armbar, he armbarred Jackson McVeigh, armbarred Armin Petrosian, things that we didn't really know he had in his bag. I think he's looked a lot better than we thought he was. RoboCop, I think he's made a lot of improvements too. And I taped this fight, quite extensively too. And RoboCop's added a lot of body kicks to his game. Usually in the past, he's been all punches. Rip's hook has power in both hands, but against Kopylov, he landed a lot of very hard kicks to the body. And I'm curious to see if he goes, to a game plan like that in this fight, and tries to stay on the outside. But I just tend to think that, this low volume style of striker like Bruno Ferreira, somebody who doesn't throw a lot, but picks his spots. It's not going to look the most technical or anything like that, but he's very particular on when he throws his strikes. I just think if he connects, we've seen RoboCop put out, multiple times now.
He got knocked out by who was the light skinned dude that
Jordan Williams is the guy?
Jordan, dude. He got put out bad against Jordan Williams. Not just put out, but he got put out bad, bro.
Yeah. And that's one where it's like, dude, come on. Like RoboCop, when he's winning, it looks like, wow, this guy is terrifying at 185 pounds. He walks guys down with insane pressure, rips hooks to the body and head, and has absurd power. He kind of fights like the Terminator. But then, sometimes he'll just get knocked out before these fights get started. Cannonier had to go through the fire to beat him, but I mean, I think it's a 50-50 fight. And if you're giving me a decent sized plus number on Bruno Ferreira, I think he can do the exact same thing. I think he can knock him out. he just hits too hard, and RoboCop's there to be hit.
I wonder also how that mentally affects RoboCop. I think that's another thing too that has to be noted is how does that affect you necessarily? So, I mean, one thing, what was I going to say about Bruno Fajeda by decision at plus 750 is also something that really, I'm not going to lie, even beyond just cracking him and catching him, I could see RoboCop fighting possibly even slightly tentative. Maybe just because that back of the mind, maybe he comes out like a bat out of hell. But we've seen RoboCop go to a decision with these younger kind of fighters, CLD, Kopylov, going to decision with these younger fighters. We saw, even though Vettori doesn't have the same dimensions to this game, we saw old boy Ferreira go to decision with him too as well. So
I think with RoboCop, because a lot of the fights he has gone to decision in. So you think CLD, that was belt to ass, I thought, in that fight. That was CLD was thinking, what in the world did I get myself into, fighting against RoboCop. RoboCop was plus money in that fight, I remember, and I bet him there. Armin Petrosian got a split decision over him. I don't care. RoboCop won that fight. Down the stretch, whooping his ass down the stretch. And then
that's the fight that actually made me a believer in Armin Petrosian, which is what a fucking joke that ended up being. Rando, what up, playa? Hey, Luke gets the dub. What Luke, if I may ask? You say, hey, Luke gets the dub. Which Luke, brother? Luke Fernandez? Keep going, Sam. My bad. I just wanted to shout out the comments too as well. I hate leaving the comments hanging.
You're fine. I'm thinking probably
my boy Rando.
Luke Fernandez. I wasn't impressed with Luke Fernandez's level of competition. I think he's going to have to cage push a lot. But yeah, I was saying that RoboCop, I thought he was going to finish Roman Kopylov, but he beat him up pretty good too. Kopylov didn't really want to get close to him, was fighting very passively. I think if it goes to the cards, RoboCop's probably landing a lot of shots on Ferreira, and he's fighting more passively, maybe on the back foot, not wanting to step in and exchange with him. But yeah, I mean, I think Ferreira can stop him the same way. I think most of his equity's in the knockout. Just because he's very low volume. If you watch him against Abus,
yeah, he is literally a plant and swing kind of fighter.
Abus Magomedov, he didn't really do much in the first round of that fight, if I recall, and then really turned it on in the second round, and it started to get more competitive. He ended up getting subbed, but yeah, he was very. Everybody thought he was tired after the first round, and then he really picked up the pace second round. So he's not a guy who pushes hard the entire fight, but he picks his spots. So, and I think he's going to catch RoboCop, honestly.
So, Rando, my boy likes the over 1.5 for the Luke Fernandez fight, just so you know. Also, too, he likes RoboCop to get caught, too, as well. I didn't tape that fight, so I don't want to give a faulty prediction on who I think wins that one specifically. PJ, another one. You're going to be disappointed. This is the only fight on the ZUFFA card that I didn't tape. And I didn't get a good read on the Chenard Bunch fight, so I taped it, but I didn't get a good read on Vlad and Chenard. I think Bunch probably knocks him out eventually later. But I did not tape Jairde Anderson and JJ Juarez. I know money is coming on JJ Juarez. And Rand, like, that's hilarious. The last two comments, I didn't tape any of them, and I'm sorry, guys. So with that being said, did we recap our 5-star plays yet?
I don't think we did. We can run through them.
All right, let's run through our 5-star plays here. Well, I'll let you run through your 5-star. You can go 1 through 5. My 10-star play is Jose Ibarra money line to cure world hunger. Haha, don't get in on him now. You had to get in on him at plus 625 when we dropped it, bro. You cannot get in on him at plus 375. They're probably setting up Avius Griffin to knock this dude out. But I would love Ibarra to get this upset. Let's go, baby. Let's go. So Sam, run through your 5-star plays 1 through 5, good sir, and then I'll go through mine.
Okay, I have them all circled, and I went through them one by one, so I got to make sure I have the order right. No, Cody Durden money line is my 1-star play. Think he has the ability to get takedowns here on the feet. I don't think there is as big a gap as a lot of people might say. I think Cody Durden's going to be able to get takedowns. I think he's going to be able to avoid the submissions, and I think he's a better overall grappler. Think it's maybe a bit of a step down in competition for him. I think of honestly, I think of Tumen Dembrall. He's from a region where a lot of guys are really good, but I think of him being on the level of somebody like a Jake Hadley, somebody that Cody Durden's beaten before, being able to get the wrestling going. So I think he's going to get it done here. My 2-star play. I got to make sure I have the order. I have Oliveira as my 2-star play.
Charles Oliveira is your next one, 2-star.
Okay. Yeah, I was mixing up my 2 and 3. I didn't remember. But yeah, Charles Oliveira as my 2-star play. He's at plus 170, plus 185 on Caesars. But I think that his wrestling's progressed a long way. I think that's a style, and this, not only the style, but I think it's a sized fighter that we haven't seen Max Holloway go against. So a guy who's as big, if not bigger than he is, who wrestles at an elite level, and his submission game is second to none, maybe in UFC history. He's got a lot of power to go with it on the feet. I think if he gets Max moving back, that's going to be the difference in the fight. Let's see, my 3-star play. I have Bellato versus Fernandez, and I believe Bellato versus Fernandez over 1.5. Likely going to sprinkle that fight to go to a decision myself. I think that Fernandez by knockout is getting juiced a little bit based off of his Contender Series performance. Win against a guy who all you have to do is look at them side by side, and the fight's not going to be remotely close. Hence, he got knocked out in 15 seconds. I want to say he was in the minus 1,000 range for that fight as well. But when we've seen him go against a fighter with a pulse, Christian Edwards in CFFC, he really had to go to that cage push, go to more of a grindy style of the game, and that's something Bellato's going to welcome, something he's probably going to try to do himself. So I see over 1.5, and I'll likely sprinkle the decision prop. My 4-star play, Sumu Darji. And did you want me to go through all of these in a row like this, by the way? Or
I like this.
Okay, yeah, Sumu Darji versus Jesus Aguilar to go to decision at minus 150 is my 4-star play. I think in a flyweight fight, or most flyweight fights are going to go the distance, in one where stylistically, I don't think Sumu Darji is going to give Aguilar his best win condition, which is that guillotine choke. He hasn't really shown much of ability off his back with submissions, hasn't really shown much of an ability to take the back and attack submissions there, and doesn't really have a lot of knockouts in his career. So, he's either, for the most part, Aguilar's been guillotine or decision. And, Sumu Darji is somebody who has a decent amount of stoppage wins in his career, mostly on the regional scene, and Aguilar's never been stopped with strikes. So, yeah, I think this goes to the cards at a pretty high clip. And then finally, Dober versus Johnson, minus 150 for this fight to end by KO. So same line as the last one, different outcome. But I think Dober's going to be on the front foot. He's going to be forcing the action against Johnson. Johnson, I think he's been lucky in his last few fights to fight against guys who are going to have more of that passive game plan, fight off the back foot, try to counter. Fights that look very much so like a chess match, and that's just not the way Dober fights. Win or lose, Dober's not going to fight with that kind of game plan. He's a kill or be killed fighter, and both of these guys have shown an ability to be finished. Neither of these guys, I'm curious actually how many submissions they've ever attacked in their UFC careers. They've both been with the promotion a long time, and I can't think of a single time that either of them have attacked submission. So fight ends by KO. I think somebody gets clipped and goes down. It wouldn't surprise me if it was in round 1 or early in round 2.
Oh, yeah. So I'm curious. I'm actually going to look up that stat when we get up now to see how many submissions they've each attempted in their careir. I would have down over under 3.5. Lex,
gotta be right. Like maybe a guillotine early on in their career. Where everybody kind of knows that's a bad tactic now. You used to see it a lot more often in MMA. Probably something like that. These guys aren't taking the back, really doing like that. But.
So here, I actually want to see this now. According to UFC stat page, Drew Dober has attempted 1 submission, and that was the rear naked choke he had over Jamie Varner. And
I'm pretty sure I've trained with Jamie Varner before. He trains in Tampa, so shout out Jamie Varner. South Tampa Jiu-Jitsu and MMA. He's a good guy. I'm pretty sure I've trained with him once at an open mat, if I'm not mistaken.
Shit, shout out Jamie Varner. And the under would have smashed. There's only there's only two. There's only 2 submission attempts amongst them both, and Michael Johnson attempted one against Khabib. I don't remember what attempt that was. I'm assuming. I bet he would jump to. I was going to say I bet he jumped Gilly.
That's the only thing that an attempt could be, right?
So I mean, it has to be in this case, right?
I don't think I remember any triangle chokes or arm bars in that fight. That's for sure.
No, it had to be a jump Gilly.
That was the one I think really put Khabib on the map too. I think like a lot of casual fans, because I think it was a pay-per-view card. A lot of people watched it and were like, "Oh my god, this
guy is a monster." Then they saw the Edson Barbosa fight and shit themselves after they rewatched the Edson Barbosa fight. They could not believe what they just saw.
I don't know if we've even seen grappling that surpasses that in MMA at this point. Because the way that he would control guys with his lower body to free up both hands to punch you in the face was unlike anything that we've seen at this point in MMA.
To this day,
who's done it that well.
To this day, and he still does it to that level that well, and he knows how to chain ground and pound of submissions, like club and sub king. Like, we're not club and sub in terms of dropping, but literally clubbing you while he's in a control position to making you fucking turn your back and say, "No mas, champ, no mas."
And the funny part is, even their best guys, Usman Nurmagomedov, Islam Makhachev, behind closed doors, I'd wager that Khabib probably still beats those guys up in the gym. If they're grappling, he probably dominates those guys, including Islam.
I wouldn't doubt that whatsoever. He big bros him. I would not doubt that at all.
The way he chain wrestles is different than anybody from that camp. I mean, he was a special talent, man. Johnson was the one because he was coming off a layoff, and that was just incredible to watch. Yeah,
I mean, he would have buzzsawed through the rest of these guys too as well. So let's go. I'm gonna buzz through my 5-star bets because my dog's like literally, if you should see my dog hanging off the bed looking at me like, "Dog, it's time to walk." So for my 1-star bet, Ricardo Magic Man Salas versus Jesus Sriracha. I like that fight to end in a draw. Plus 1,400 on Bet365. Sriracha Salas. Make sure to go watch Magic Man Salas versus Ruben Aguilar if you guys have a chance. The fight's an absolute war. So my 1-star bet is I like a draw in plus 1,400 for my 1-star bet, Salas Sriracha. 2-star bet. Sorry, Rondo, you're not gonna like this one. My 2-star bet of the day, Rob Font plus money line, plus 205 money line. Raul Rosas is growing in confidence, growing in cardio, no doubt about it. But I think Rob Font is going to come down to Rob Font winning round 3, Rosas winning round 1, who runs round 2. So you're telling me, and technically in a 1-round fight is how I'm looking at this fight right now. You're going to give me a plus 205 in a 1-round fight. I'm going to take the guy that knows how to strike a little bit better than the guy that can grapple. Doesn't always work out in this case because Raul Rosas is 1 body lock away realistically from ending this fight. He could rear naked choke him. Wouldn't doubt if he choked out Rob Font, and I wouldn't doubt if he could just control him for 2 or 3 rounds. For my 3-star bets, this one I'm actually spacing on for whatever reason. My 3-star bets here. I like, this fight starts in 7 hours, y'all, so go jump on it now. Shunpei Ohata, Japanese boxing, DK, even money right now. Love Shunpei Ohata over Ryo Saito. I also sprinkled him by knockout. I think him and Ryo Saito are going to exchange in the pocket, and I think it's going to come down to who has the better chin and who can crack harder. Ryo Saito cracks harder, and I think Shunpei Ohata has the better chin. Give me the better chin and Shunpei Ohata here for you. 3-star play, even money, Shunpei Ohata, minus 110. For my 4-star play, I love this play right here. It realistically should be my 5-star play. So I'm going to switch them up. Last minute switch up. My 4-star play, Jai Apataya fight ends versus Glanton, round 7 through 12. 7 through 12, Glanton. Fight ends in that case. Glanton's tough as old leather boots. He's going to tough it out at minimum, I believe, until round 7. At least I hope. Jai Apataya goes through the gears once Glanton can't start entering on the inside, picks him apart from range, finally checks him with a check hook and finishes off the fight right around rounds 8 to 9-ish, I want to say. 9 through 12, I wouldn't doubt if it was even a later stoppage than that because Glanton is that tough. 5-star bet of the week. PJ, you want my most confident pick? My boy Big Sam's most confident pick of the week. It is Drew Dober and Michael Johnson fight ends in KO. My most confident pick, Pablo Rubio Jr. for ZUFFA Boxing. He's going to beat up on Aiden Palma, grow round over round, buzzsaw through him, work up that body. I like him in this case here. Rubio Jr. to win a 5-3 decision over Aiden Palma. Fingers crossed they don't give us the draw, brother. Those are our 5-star bets of the week, y'all. We just killed it. Big Sam, do you have any closing remarks before we get on out of here?
No closing remarks from me. I just opened up my phone a second ago and I saw there's a big fight on the horizon coming up. Logan Paul versus Le'Veon Bell. who knows? Maybe that'll come on Netflix or something like that, and we'll have to talk about it. But that'll be hilarious. But now, no closing remarks from me. Always a pleasure to jump on here, chop it up.
I won't be talking about that fight, Sam. I can tell you that. I can tell you that right now. I will say, Le'Veon Bell has one song. No one ever talked about this. Le'Veon Bell had a very small rap career. He has a song called Wednesday. Not Wednesday, Wednesday. W-I-N-S Day. I love that shit. That shit is in my jiu-jitsu competition playlist. It's literally in my competition playlist because I love that shit. It bangs. He literally recorded that song the week after beating the Jaguars in the playoffs. What a guy. What a guy Le'Veon Bell is. Very interesting cat, no doubt about it. I wouldn't mind if he knocked out Logan Paul.
Yeah, man, that's really what I want to see with that. They say, yeah, I guess it's going to be some in-house thing, 3-minute rounds until somebody quits, they say. So might not be a licensed fight or anything, might be on some streaming platform or something like that.
Bare knuckle. They're going to go bare knuckle.
Oh, man, I'd love to see Logan Paul get beat up by Le'Veon Bell. That would be hilarious.
That'd be sick, no doubt. So, but hey, bro, I appreciate you coming on. We're definitely going to be doing this on bigger weekends with a lot of fights, y'all. Sorry I haven't been as active. Don't really have any reason. Just kind of been enjoying just kind of being behind the scenes and being on Discord and just doing that. If you ever want to holler up and chop it up with me, you can join the Discord and let me know. We can get you in. Again, it's a free Discord. I'm not charging anything. So holler at me if that's what you're thinking. With that being said, y'all.
A lot of fun. Highly recommend.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. I mean, hey, I appreciate you being a part of it. And I appreciate you always dropping insight too as well. So thank you for that, brother. That's the biggest thing, y'all. The Discord isn't really just me. We have a bunch of great characters and a bunch of sharp dudes in there. Like everyone says that about their Discord, right? But I can truly say we got some sharp ass fools in there with a lot of different insights too as well. And then you even have the Keeses of the world that will go against the grain and tell you, hey, this dude's going to win. So
and it's super collaborative too. We'll all bounce thoughts off of one another. Sometimes it's just as simple as that. Hey, what do you guys think about this fight? And, I've done that plenty of times, and you guys, give me a lot of different things to think about as I'm breaking these down and doing tape study of my own. So, it's a great community.
Hell yeah, brother. Rando, I'm trying to think, how can I get at you, Rando? Just because the thing is I don't like leaving the Discord on like a YouTube comment or anything like that, just because I don't want a bunch of randoms or bots joining. Rando, do you have a way that you could email me? If you could email me, I'm going to drop my email right now. It's Breaking Bad Boxing. I know that's so old school to ask you to email me. In fact, if you're listening and you want to join the Discord and you're not in the Discord, I'm leaving my email right here. Breaking Bad Boxing 623@yahoo.com. If you could just send me an email, just let me know your name. You don't have to type a long message in. Simply just send me your name and I'll send you back the link to join the court here. The only reason I don't want to put in the YouTube comments is for bots and just like random weirdos, stuff like that. So if you could send me an email, Breaking Bad Boxing 623@yahoo.com, and I'm pretty responsive when it comes to my emails too as well. So Sam, thank you for joining, brother. Everyone that tuned in, I appreciate you tuning in. Everyone that liked the video, thank you for liking the video. Just in general, I appreciate you guys, man. So with that being said, as always, love, peace, chicken grease. See y'all soon.